So for everybody who is joining us right now, welcome. It's really great to have so many of you tuning in. Our next speaker is Tatiana Ufimtceva from keySkillset. So Tatiana has very strong financial background and provides financial training at the largest global companies. Today she will talk about the strategies you can use in uncertain times. So super important in today's scenario, with the accent on scenario and sensitivity analysis in financial models. So Tatiana, whenever you're ready, we can already see your screen. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you for the introduction. You hear me well? All good?
Yes, we can hear you very well.
Perfect. Hello, everyone. My name is Tatiana, and I'm joining from New York at this for this amazing global event. We have people from all over the world joining today, and our organizers, T and Kenny, and the team. It takes more than two people. It takes the whole team. Did obviously an amazing job today. So thank you so much. And I'm happy to see each one of you as a part of this amazing event. The main topic for Financial Modeling Summit today is financial modeling in uncertain times. And in my presentation, I will focus on building scenario and sensitivity analysis for financial models. However, I will give you a couple of additional tricks as well. So T mentioned briefly my background. To add some statistics to it, I have over 14 years of experience in adult financial education and over 8 years in banking. And currently I'm managing the company that is called keySkillset. It's an educational platform with a variety of games where you can master different hard skills such as Excel, financial modeling, and more. And the idea for keySkillset came from my experience of training at the largest global companies and institutions, where I provided mostly Excel and financial modeling training. So let's talk about uncertainty, since it's the main topic today at the summit. When you hear the word uncertainty, what do you think about? As a girl that was born in the USSR, uncertainty was what I grew up with. However, even for me, the situation we're living in today is unprecedented. And we probably won't see anything like that in the near future, and we definitely didn't see it in our lifetime. So it's not easy to react to all recent events the right way. However, there are some strategies you can use in these crisis times that would help your personal goals as well as help your business, and we can apply it in financial modeling industry as well. So let me share a short video with you with 5 simple strategies to react to uncertainty. Coping with uncertainty. The world is an uncertain place. Things change fast, and it can be difficult to see what's coming next. But with the right approach, you can make things easier for yourself, learn to be comfortable with uncertainty, and be prepared for whatever the future brings. Here are some simple strategies for coping when things get messy. First, face the fear. Fear is a natural reaction to uncertainty, but you can't let it rule you. Worrying about the future is pointless, so don't ask what if. Ask what will I do if. Knowing how you will react if things do go badly takes a lot of the steam out of the stress. Sensitivity analysis in financial models will help you here. Second, focus on what you can control. Feeling out of control can be scary. So instead of fretting about the things you can't affect, focus on the things you can. Work out what you can do and do it. You'll probably feel better for knowing you're doing something useful. Conditional formatting will help you focus on what's important and get you a feeling of control. Third, mitigate risk. Plan for various possibilities, not just the outcome you think is most likely. Build in contingencies so that whatever happens, you're in a solid position to deal with whatever comes next. Scenario analysis will help you to plan for various possibilities and mitigate risk. Fourth, be agile and alert. Being agile means you are able to respond quickly to different needs and adapt to changing circumstances. At the same time, be alert. Stay on top of changes that could affect you and your business. The sooner you know about something, the quicker you can react. Keeping financial model flexible, adjusting it based on the current situation will get you there. And fifth, look after yourself. Uncertainty can cause anxiety and stress, which can damage your health and get you stuck in a vicious circle. Exercise helps clear stress hormones from your body, while meditation and mindfulness can help you relax and reduce anxiety. Be efficient while modeling, so you have time for yourself. So those are simple strategies for uncertain times, and let's take a look deeper into each one of them and apply for financial modeling world. So the first, face the risk. So, here we will take a look into sensitivity analysis in financial models, or some people know it as what-if analysis. With sensitivity analysis in financial modeling to analyze how different independent variable values affect a special dependent variable. And again, it can be called sensitivity analysis or what-if analysis. Let's escape presentation for now and go to our Excel file. So this is a model, and in the given model, we built it based on our historical data from financial statements and the assumptions we made for projected years. Based on that, we calculated equity value per share, which is $138.60 for our sample company. So here we want to see how we can use sensitivity analysis to evaluate how equity value per share will change if those assumptions will change as well. So let's use data table for that. In this data table, our inputs are cost of revenue. In our model, we took cost of revenue equals 35.4% as an assumption for 2020, and we put it here for data table. And we make step. What if cost of revenue goes higher or lower? Same applies for revenue growth. We took 14.3% from our model we built, and we want to see what if revenue growth will be smaller or bigger. What will happen with equity value per share? And since we evaluate equity value per share, we need to put output cell here, exactly it, equity value per share. And be mindful and take it as a link, not as an hard-coded number. It's very important for your data table to work. And overall, keep your model flexible and don't hard-code formulas, don't use inputs. If you used it once already, insert it into your formula. We'll talk about that later as well. So we reference equity value per share. Now we want to highlight the whole data table with Control-Shift right arrow, down arrow. Be mindful again and grab the outside of data tables. It's very important for it to work. And we'll go to data table on our ribbon. To access the ribbon without a mouse, we'll click Alt, and you see that various letters pop up. That way, Excel gives you a hint what to push next, so you don't have to reach for the mouse. For us, data table is on data. So we need to click letter A, and what if analysis is under letter W. And here you can see in what if analysis different tools such as scenario manager, goal seek, and data table. For now we're using data table, so let's click T. Now, for our row, we use a cost of revenue here. And very important, we link cost of revenue from our model, so it flows into data tables. In our column input cell, we use revenue growth here, right? And we want to grab it from our model as well for data table to work. Enter, beautiful. Data table is ready. And what we see here, let me highlight that quickly. What we see here, that if cost of revenue is equal 35.4 as in our model, and revenue growth is equal 14.3 as in our model, we get the same result as we got in our model, $138.60. However, if cost of revenue, let's say, is 37.4%, and let's say revenue growth is 12.3%, then we get a different number. It would be 118. So that's how you can evaluate different variables and see how one affects the other. Another tool in what if analysis would be a goal seek tool. Let's say we want to end up having equity value of $1.2 billion. And then we want to see how much we need to reduce debt to get them. So again, Alt to access the ribbon, A for data, W for what if analysis, and this time we'll go for goal seek, which is G. We want to set this cell as 1.2 billion. And we want to see how we need to change debt for that. So by changing the cell B38 in our model. Click OK, and the model will recalculate the data for you. It did it. Let me do it again quickly. So here you can see that to end up having equity value of 1.2 billion, the debt has to be 56 million instead of 176. That's how you use what if analysis in Excel. And let's go back to our presentation and look at the next strategy. The next strategy is focus on what you can control. So here we want to talk about conditional formatting in financial modeling. It allows you to apply some formatting to cells that meet certain criteria. And it calls your focus to important data points by most often used color-based formatting to highlight and emphasize important data. So let's again come back to our Excel file and see how it works. Let's use our data table we built for that. So we will highlight the inside of the data table from F37 to J41 in our model. And to access conditional formatting on our ribbon, we would go Alt. Then we need Home tab, so we would click H for Home, and L, you can see it here, L for conditional formatting. To create a new rule, click N, and a new formatting rule window will be opened. Here you can navigate to the desired outcome. We want to, for example, format only cells that contain tab, the value that is greater than our current equity value per share in the model. And we want to format it with, let's say, this nice light orange color. Let's see what's going to happen. We see how Excel highlighted all values in the highlighted cells into the format we asked from it. There are different ways you can use conditional formatting. You can, for example, format 2 or 3 color scale and see how it looks. And Excel will highlight from biggest numbers to the smallest numbers with various colors. And that would help you to navigate in the data, especially if it's a big data set, and understand what to focus on to prevent some kind of event that is unwanted. Beautiful. What's next? So the third strategy to deal with in uncertain times would be mitigate risk. And here we can apply, for financial modeling world, we can apply scenario analysis. And today we will cover choose, index, and offset functions for that purpose. Scenario analysis is a process of examining and evaluating possible future events to mitigate risks for businesses. In financial modeling, this process is typically used to estimate changes in the value of a business or cash flow. Let's take a look. Okay, for some reason it just freezed. Here we go. Okay, so we are going to scenario analysis tab here in our Excel file. It freezed a little bit. Usually I don't use the mouse for that. And here you can see that we already built 3 different scenarios for our given model. And base case scenario takes revenue growth that is equal to revenue growth in our model. So it's 14.3% for 2020, and then it goes down by 0.5% by the step we created here, each following year. Then we created upside case where we took the same assumption for 2020, but we assumed that each year it will go up by 1.5%. And then we created downside case. What if everything goes wrong? Like, let's say now, right? For many businesses, although for many online businesses, it goes up. So for some of them, upside case would be applied, and for some of the businesses, downside cases would be applied. So for downside case, we took again the same assumption for 2020 and made it go down by 2% each following year. Based on our assumptions and these 3 scenarios we built for revenue growth, we calculated the revenue itself for the projected years. And you can see that I highlighted here in green the revenue for 2024 for all 3 case scenarios. And that's exactly what we want to see in our scenario analysis when using choose, index, or offset functions. We'll see one of these 3 numbers, and for that we need to build so-called scenario switch. So we have scenario 1, we can put 1 here. We have scenario 2, we can put 2, or scenario 3, right? So let's leave scenario 1 for now, and let's see how we can use choose function to evaluate this scenario. So let's type choose, and you can see that Excel gives you a hint what choose function does. It chooses a value or action to perform from a list of values based on an indexed number. And then if you click tab, not enter, many people also have this mistake, you click tab and you see the hints that Excel give you what to put in the formula. So first will be index number. For us, it's gonna be scenario switch. Second will be value 1, value 2, or value 3, depending on our switch or the value in the cell B46 for us. So value 1 would be scenario 1 for 2024. revenue, comma, value 2, scenario number 2, comma, and value 3 would be scenario number 3, downside case for revenue for 2024. Enter. And we see that since we have scenario switch on 1, we have the number of 205,830. It equals to this number. However, if we change the switch to 2, it will change the number to the second scenario. You switch it for 3, and it switches to the third scenario. That's how you quickly can see the exact number for each of the cases. You also can name that, but today for the simplicity, or you can do a drop-down list. Today for the simplicity, we will just use the numbers. So let's see how we can do something similar with index function. Let's start typing, and Excel gives us a hint that index returns a value or reference of the cell at the intersection of a particular row and column in a given range. Let's see what it means. Tab. So here, index function asks us for array first. So for that, we'll go for our array in the cells J42 to J44 for us, comma. And next, Excel asks us for row number. So it will be row number 1 is our base case, right? Row number 2 is our case number 2 upside case, and so on. And how do we establish row number? We again can use scenario switch for that. We don't need a column number here. For some uses of index, sometimes you would input it here. You can see it here. Not in our case. This is enough. We're taking only the row. Insert or OK, enter or OK. And you can see again that this number matches our first scenario, our choose function switch and index switch. So if we go to the second scenario here, both numbers will change. For the same purpose, you can also use offset function. It's your priority. It's whatever you prefer to use. Choose function, I would say more intuitive. However, if you put, let's say number 4 here, you see that those functions don't like that. Offset is more flexible, and it wouldn't give you a value error. So it's less intuitive, but sometimes it's better to use it. Let's try it. So offset it returns a reference to a range that is a given number of rows and columns from a given reference. Let's see what it means. So first, Excel asks us to find a reference cell. We can literally take any cell. Right now, for simplicity, I'll choose the cell J41, but then we'll play with it a little bit to see the flexibility of the offset function. So I will choose J41 as a reference cell, comma. Then the function asks you how many rows down you can go from a reference cell. And here, rows down would be, again, our scenario switch. If you want to go up, you would put a negative number, -1, -2 rows up. Here, we want to go down, and our scenario switch will work perfectly for our purposes. And columns. Here, Excel asks you how many columns to the right you want to go from a reference cell J41. We want to stay in the same column. It works for us, so we will put 0. Again, if you want to go several columns to the left, you would put from a reference cell, you would put a negative number. That's how you would work offset function. Let's try it. Beautiful. We have the correct result for the first scenario, $205 million. And again, let's try to play with the switch. All three scenarios work beautifully and switch between each other, right? And then if you put 4, you can see that choose an index function give you value error, and offset just gives you 0 because this scenario is not existing in our model. That's how you build scenario switch. There's more I can tell about that. I can talk about that for like half a day at least. So if you have any questions, come to our booth at keySkillset, but we will move on to next topics and next strategies as for now. So the next strategy in the uncertain times would be agile and alert. That means keeping financial model flexible, adjusting it based on the current situation. There are 2 main rules for a flexible model. First, don't embed hard-coded numbers in formulas. Instead, break out inputs into separate cells. We've covered it a little bit in the beginning. Second, never input the same number twice and use flat lines. Let's take a look again. Let's come back to our model and see what I mean here. Let's see, we just built these beautiful scenarios, but what if we want to assume that upside case will go up each year after 2020, not by 1.5%, but by 3%. We're very positive. You see how all the numbers in the model changed just because I changed one number. And the reason for that, because everywhere in the model, it is reference to another cell. I try not to use hard-coded numbers, and I try not to use inputs if we have it already in Excel, right? So let's see how we can make the model flexible, for example, using the step or using flatline. So here's our finished model. I'm going to erase all our projected years for now. You can see how everything has changed for projected line items as well. And that's because, again, it's all built on formulas and not inputs, not hard codes. So let's go to our value drivers here and build a formula that will show that in 2021, the revenue growth went down by 0.5%. Here's our step. Here's our previous year. Let's create a formula. So G27 would be equals to the previous year revenue growth plus the step function. And here is a very important thing we want to do. We want to anchor the cell, so this way we can use this formula in the cells to the right. Anchoring the formula would be, for anchoring the formula, you would use F4 of function 4. Let's see what happens. This is total anchoring. Here we're anchoring only the row. Here we're anchoring only the column. No anchoring, anchoring, total anchoring, and so on and so forth. So this is the switch. What happens if we forget anchoring? Let's see that first. So I created a formula. I did not put anchoring. I want to fill the formula to the right. For that, I would highlight G27 to J27 with shift right arrow and use Control plus R to fill to the right. Control R. And what happened is the cell K27 is moved each time to the right. And we don't want that. That's exactly why we want to anchor cell K27 with function 4 button. So if we do that, let's check it out. Control R, and it's beautifully created the exact formula we want. Now, let's talk about flexibility and flatlining. Many people, let's say we assume that cost of revenue and all other value drivers we have in the model won't change year to year. They will stay fixed at the values we assumed for 2020. Many people would go this way and just insert the number. Oh, it's a formula, let me see. So I want to see it as a hard-coded number. Let me do it quickly. Apologies for that. So if you copy paste this number and then you come to your boss or by yourself, you decide that cost of revenue is not 35.4, but I'm just making it up 40, you need to change it at least 5 times now in the model, right? So to prevent that, we will do flatlining. In the cell G28, we put equals previous year, and that's what we call flatlining. It's that simple. This way, the cell references the previous year, and it keeps being flexible. So for example, we can fill this flatline formula to the right with Control R and down with Control D, and in 2 clicks, we did it all. And we keep it flexible. Now, if we want to change it to 40, it changes to 40, and you can see how it flows through this whole model. You want to change it to 20, you change it to 20, and you can see how it flows through the whole model. That's how you keep your model nice and flexible. And the last but not least, look after yourself. As an advice from us to you guys, be efficient while modeling so you have time for yourself. We have tools for you. keySkillset solution is built to help you become efficient and excel in financial modeling and save plenty of time on spreadsheets so you can put this time towards what you love to do, exercising, hanging out with your friends, and so on and so forth. It's a platform with a variety of educational games that help you to learn and do at the same time and build your muscle memory in Excel and financial modeling to become 5, 10, 20 times more efficient because you use shortcuts and you use tricks that speed you up. So you can visit our booth today, and I'm happy to answer questions there. And I wanna a little early, I can see that, so I'll take some maybe questions here. But I would like to finish my, my presentation with a quote. The only certainty is that nothing is certain. But using some tools can help you deal with this, with any stressful times on a totally different level. Thank you very much for your attention. I am happy to answer any questions or come to our booth, keySkillset, where we can continue the conversation.
Thank you, Tatiana. This was really great. Thank you for explaining everything so clearly. I do see 2 questions that have just come in. So the first one is from an anonymous attendee, and it says, hi, in the data table, if we link the row column base value against which we're running the sensitivity to the cells used in our model and then increase or decrease it from there, the data table does not seem to work. As in the result of data table and our model won't match. Can you explain why is it so?
I'm not sure. I actually have to look at your specific model, but with data tables, let me get rid of this conditional formatting. So in there can be different reasons for that. First of all, again, if you hard code it somewhere in the model, right, instead of linking everything beautifully together. If you hard-coded it, it won't flow through the whole model, and it will get you some errors in data table. So you need to be very, very careful with that. It's the most common, every time I give a training in financial modeling, it's the most common mistake, and I don't get tired to repeat, don't hard code. It has to be flexible. It has to flow through the whole model so you get the correct result. Because also Excel calculates with decimals, right? You don't see it in the model, but it has it in its memory. So when you hard code something, you also don't take into considerations these decimals, and on big numbers, cents might become thousands of dollars. So you need to be very careful with that. Second reason that I see very often is that, for example, this 35.4, we took it from our cost of revenue, from our model, right? But it's a hard-coded number here. That's very important. Here, you don't make it a reference to a cell. You hard-code it, and then goes with a step down and up. Mm-hmm. Same here, right? This is a hard-coded number. Mm-hmm. But our output cell, the cell we want to see how it's get affected by independent variables, this has to be a link or reference to a cell. Otherwise, the data table won't work as well. This is the second very important thing and very important mistake. And the third one, I've seen it many times, people highlight the inside of the table and forget about outside. And that way it won't work as well. You have to grab the whole table to build it correctly. That's the most common mistakes I've seen in data table.
Perfect, thank you. And then the next question, I think you might have briefly touched on that. Does data table work if there are circular references in the model?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. You need to be careful with circular references, but with a three statement model, it's very often becomes circular, and your data table will work. When you work with circular models, for those who don't know, I will just explain quickly. Right here, let's go here. So let's say we have 1 and 1. So if we go 1 plus 1, right, it's gonna be 2. But if we are going 1 plus 1 plus the cell itself, it will give us very funky number, or it will give us the message I just received. Let me show it to you. I closed it. So there are 1 or more circular references, and so on and so forth. To receive this message, you can go to your settings and make them, or you will receive like 200 and so on and so forth. Let me try to go there. I would go Alt, F for file, T for options. And here, enable iterative calculation in formulas. That's where you want to check for Excel not to give you an error, and you can see how it's 200. And if I recalculate with a function F9 button, it will keep going. So I would take this check out most of the time so you know that there is a circular reference, or you can take it out if you're actually building a circular reference model on purpose. Yes, if you take the correct variables, it will work as well. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. That's everything that I can see in the Q&A box. Matthew, Kenny, anything from your side? I know we have our next speaker in about 5 minutes from now. So just wanted to double check if we should check in with Neil.
Neil McDonald, I guess, right? The next
one. So thank you, Tatiana, so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it went fast. And when I practiced, it did take a longer time, maybe because I'm a little nervous. I went too fast in some places, but I know that the videos will be available the next day. So you always can come back to the material we covered here. And if I was too quick somewhere, you can always come back to the video or come back to our booth, and we'll get you covered.
Perfect. Thank you so much.